Imagine a teacher in Michigan who gets paid every other Friday. Same salary, same direct deposit, same bank account it's always gone into. And for a day or two after that deposit hits, she feels genuinely good about money. Not just okay, good. She'll grab an extra coffee without thinking about it. She'll agree to go out for dinner when normally she'd suggest cooking at home. She'll add something to her cart she'd been holding off on, and this time, she'll actually check out. By Wednesday of the following week, the feeling is completely gone. She's checking her balance twice a day. She skipped the coffee. She's calculating whether she can make it to the next payday without touching her small buffer. Nothing has changed in her actual financial situation. The bills are the same. The salary is the same. The obligations haven't moved. What changed was a number on a screen. And that number rewired how her brain was making every single spending decision, for just long enough to cost her the rest of the month. This is not a budgeting problem. This is not a discipline problem. This is a well-documented psychological pattern with a name, a mechanism, and a pattern that shows up across households at virtually every income level. And for people with high fixed expenses relative to their income, the effects can be even more noticeable. Almost nobody has explained why it happens or how to stop it. I'm Eunice, and this is Wealth Tactics. Today we're going inside the specific brain glitch that makes payday one of the most financially dangerous days of your month. Here's the rule for this entire video. Tattoo it somewhere useful. Your brain prices your paycheck by the number, not by what it owes. The moment that deposit hits, your brain sees the full amount. It doesn't subtract rent. It doesn't subtract the car payment that's coming in 4 days. It doesn't subtract the credit card minimum due next Tuesday. It sees a number, a large number, and it says, "We are doing fine." And then it starts spending accordingly. We're going to watch this rule destroy 3 different people's months before we talk about how to stop it from destroying yours. Let's be honest about what payday actually feels like, because it's not just the Michigan teacher, it's almost everyone. The deposit lands and something shifts. It's subtle, but it's real. You check your balance and there's a number there that wasn't there yesterday. And suddenly the mental calculation that runs in the background of every financial decision gets a little quieter. The internal voice that says, "Can you afford this?" turns down its volume, not off, just lower. This shows up in small decisions. You get the full-price coffee instead of making one at home. You say yes to the lunch invitation you'd been dodging. You pick up something at the grocery store that wasn't on the list because it's only $8 and payday just happened. So $8 feels irrelevant right now. None of these choices feel like mistakes in the moment. Each one feels completely proportionate to how your bank account looks right now. Then the direct debits start hitting. Rent goes out. The car insurance comes out. The subscription you forgot about pulls its monthly fee. The utilities process. The credit card minimum clears. And in the span of about 5 to 7 days, that large number has been carved down to something that looks a lot more like reality, which is, you were never really that comfortable to begin with. The number was always going to drop to something much smaller once the obligations cleared. But you'd already spent the first week as if the full amount was yours to keep, which means the second week now has to absorb the consequences. What's happening here has a name in behavioral economics. It's called mental accounting, a concept studied extensively by Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler. The core idea is that humans don't treat money as a single, fungible pool. We mentally sort money into different accounts depending on where it came from, when it arrived, and how large it looked when we first saw it. A paycheck that arrives as a single lump sum gets mentally categorized differently than the same money arriving in small, daily increments. The lump sum triggers a mental response that researchers compare to receiving a windfall. Your brain treats the deposit as a sudden abundance signal, even though the money was always coming and most of it is already committed. Your brain registers the full deposit as available income, not as pre-committed income with obligations already attached to it. Here's the mechanism at work. When your paycheck lands, your brain performs a fast, automatic calculation. It takes the number it sees and compares it to your general sense of what doing okay looks like. If the number is bigger than your mental threshold, and right after payday it almost always is, your brain signals that resources are abundant and it relaxes its spending controls accordingly. What your brain is not doing, because this requires slow, deliberate thinking that the automatic system skips, is subtracting every committed expense that's already scheduled to leave that account. The rent that processes in 2 days. the car payment on Tuesday, the insurance on Thursday. Those haven't left yet, so your brain doesn't subtract them. It prices your situation based on what it can see, which is the full deposit number. This is why the effect is strongest in the first day or two after payday, before the bills start clearing and the number starts shrinking. The automatic system is most confident that resources are abundant, and so the spending controls are at their most relaxed, right when they should arguably be at their most disciplined, because most of the money is already spoken for. There is a second mechanism layered on top of this one, and it amplifies everything. It's called present bias. Human brains systematically overvalue things available right now versus things available in the future. The coffee that costs $6 right now feels like a small, immediate pleasure. The $6 that could sit in savings and contribute to next month's buffer is abstract and distant. Your brain doesn't weigh these equally. It never has. It gives the immediate option a discount that isn't rational but is completely automatic. Combine mental accounting with present bias, and you get the perfect recipe for the payday spending spike and the week before payday anxiety that follows it like clockwork. Let me show you exactly where this plays out, because once you see the pattern, you'll recognize it in your own last 4 weeks. Example 1. The grocery store. Research on pay cycle spending behavior consistently shows that grocery spending in the days immediately after payday is meaningfully higher than in the days before the next one, sometimes dramatically so. Not because people are buying more food, but because they're buying more expensive food. Premium brands instead of store brands. Pre-packaged convenience items instead of raw ingredients. Ready-made meals instead of things that require cooking. Same people, same store, same general needs. The only variable was where they were in their pay cycle. Their actual financial situation hadn't changed between those 2 shopping trips. Their perceived financial situation had changed completely. Example 2. Restaurant spending. Restaurant industry data consistently shows a spending spike on payday Fridays and the Saturday immediately following. Not a small spike, a meaningful one. Average check sizes go up. Alcohol orders increase. The tip percentage rises. People are more likely to order appetizers and desserts. Again, these are not wealthy people suddenly deciding to splurge. These are regular households responding to the psychological signal that money is available right now, before the deliberate part of their brain has had a chance to subtract everything the paycheck already owes. The restaurant industry has known about the payday traffic spike for decades. Many restaurants increase staffing and often schedule promotions around periods when customer traffic is typically higher after payday. Whether by deliberate strategy or simple pattern recognition. Either way, they benefit from it. You pay for it. Example 3. And this one is the most expensive. Credit card data. Multiple analyses of consumer transaction data show a consistent pattern that should alarm anyone carrying a balance. Discretionary credit card purchases spike in the days after a paycheck deposit, and similar patterns have also been observed among households already carrying high-interest balances. Think about what this means. They have actual cash in their account, and they're adding to a balance that's costing them 20% interest annually. The psychological abundance signal from the paycheck deposit, the feeling of safety, comfort, and availability, is strong enough to temporarily override what the person rationally knows about their debt. The payday feeling is not just making people spend more. It is making them go backwards on debt they're trying to eliminate, at the precise moment they have the cash to move forward. Here's the objection I hear most often when I describe this. But I have a budget. I know exactly what's coming out of my account, so this doesn't affect me. Here is what the research actually says about budgeting and the payday effect. Budgeting reduces the problem, but it rarely eliminates it entirely, because the automatic mental accounting system that responds to the deposit number operates faster than your conscious budget does. It relaxes your spending controls before you've had a chance to open a spreadsheet. The mechanism doesn't ask to see your budget before it loosens your controls. It runs first, automatically, and your deliberate plan comes second. What does actually work is changing the information that automatic system receives at the moment of deposit. Which brings us to the fixes. Here are 4 changes that interrupt the payday psychology before it costs you anything. First, automate the subtraction before you see the number. Set up automatic transfers to process on the same day as your paycheck. Not 2 days later, not sometime this week, the same day. Your savings contribution, your emergency fund contribution, any extra debt payment you've committed to. All of it goes out before you have a chance to make a single discretionary decision. The number your brain sees when it runs its automatic abundance check should be your actual discretionary income, not your full paycheck. If your brain sees $1,400 instead of $2,600, it will calibrate your spending controls to $1,400. This single change can significantly reduce the dangerous first-day window. Second, create a 24-hour waiting rule for any unplanned purchase above $30 on payday or the day after. Not because $30 is a large amount, because the waiting period forces the automatic system to hand control to the deliberate system. And the deliberate system will subtract the rent. It will remember the car payment. It will ask whether this purchase still seems necessary once the initial payday feeling has settled. In many cases, it won't seem as necessary after the waiting period. That's the point. Third, track your real balance separately from your bank balance. Your bank balance is the number your brain sees. Your real balance is your bank balance minus every committed expense scheduled to leave before your next payday. Write this number down the morning after every paycheck. Make it visible. When your bank balance says $2,600, but your real balance is $890, your brain's automatic system needs to be calibrated to $890. And making that number visible is one of the fastest ways to recalibrate it. Fourth, schedule your largest discretionary purchases for the week before payday, not the week after. This is counterintuitive, but it works. If you need to buy something non-essential, the week before payday is when your spending controls are tightest, your deliberate system is most active, and you're least likely to add on extras or upgrade unnecessarily. The week after payday is when every spending decision is being made by a brain that thinks you're richer than you actually are. Here's the rule one more time. Your brain prices your paycheck by the number, not by what it owes. The payday feeling is real. The relief is real. The loosening of spending controls is real. None of it reflects your actual financial situation. It reflects the gap between what your brain can see and what it isn't bothering to subtract. Closing that gap isn't about discipline. It's about changing the number your brain sees before it runs the calculation. The teacher we talked about at the start, her problem wasn't that she lacked willpower. It was that her brain was working with incomplete information for a day or two every 2 weeks and spending accordingly. Give your brain the right number at the right moment, and the payday feeling stops costing you anything. If this explains a pattern you've noticed in your own months, subscribe to Wealth Tactics. Every week, we take apart one more piece of money psychology that's running in the background of your financial life without your permission. Drop a comment and tell me whether your spending spike happens on payday, Friday, Saturday, or if you've already fixed this. I read everyone. This has been Eunice for Wealth Tactics. See you in the next episode.